So I was going to make a video on this topic, Peter Thiel and the Antichrist, in light of this interview that's gone viral. But to be honest, I kind of lost zest for it. But since we're here, let me give my 2 cents on this topic. So the first thing I'll point out is Peter Thiel and Mark Zuckerberg have the same voice. How does that work? Clearly, they're AI. Clearly, they're working for the Antichrist, right? I mean, come on. Once you enter into communion with the Antichrist, you start to talk like Peter Thiel and Mark Zuckerberg. That's, obviously. Transhumanists. Is that the form that the Antichrist is going to take? Transhumanism? Is that how it will manifest? Is that what it's always been pointing to? Is that the way it has to happen? Right? Either we transcend through Christ, through our humanity, or we try to transcend ourselves, which is what transhumanism is. That's what trying to transcend your human limitations while avoiding death, avoiding the cross. The form that it would have to take would be transhumanism, right? I'm thinking out loud here. So instead of trying to give you my answers and so on, I'll point you to some resources that you might find interesting in regards to this topic. One is a talk by Jonathan Peugeot called The Mark of Cain, or something like that, 666. He talks about these things from a symbolic perspective. I'll link that in the comments. And also C.S. Lewis's sci-fi trilogy, particularly the third book. If you don't want to read the whole thing, read the third book. That speaks to what's happening right now. What else? There's a connection between the occult, magic, psychedelics, extraterrestrials, and then downstream artificial intelligence, right? Technology. The original technology being magic. This is the technology that is used in order to make contact with praetor human intelligences. This is in the words of Aleister Crowley, the famous, infamous grandfather of the occult, magic revivalist, etc. So he says openly that magic is the technology, the royal art of contacting praetor human intelligences that are disembodied intelligences that are guiding humanity, right, from his perspective. From the Orthodox perspective, demons. From the secular perspective, aliens. So there is a direct connection there that you can trace back. You can see it, and it's open, right? Even the artificial people, they consecrate their technologies to Thoth, as Jonathan Peugeot pointed out. They chose the right God. There's apparently people taking DMT, the right amount of DMT, to try and stay in that space long enough in order to receive downloads from what they perceive as, I'm not sure what they think they are, what their worldview is. Again, aliens, extraterrestrials, praetor human intelligences, demons, principalities, interdimensional beings. I believe these are all the same thing, and I think that's what Orthodox Christians, at least, and probably Christians in general, see this phenomenon as, not as physical beings, little gray men, but demons who maybe take on in your, if you have a vision of them, or if you see them, the interdimensional, they'll take on some type of form that is that shifts depending on your internal cultural framework. Like the devil's not a coherent person like God, like Christ is, but a kind of shape-shifting entity that has certain characteristics about him that will manifest based on your experiences and the images that you have cultivated through your experiences. That's how visions work in general. So what does this all have to do with Peter Thiel and the Antichrist? Well, nothing specifically about him. And to be honest, I don't know that much about him, although he would be a kind of a good candidate, right? Homosexual, pretends to be a Christian, super tech, right? Super intelligent in the modern sense, in the head sense, right? The Luciferic intellect, Jordan Peterson might call it. So, what do we do with that? What do we do with that? I don't know. But, well, we stay vigilant. We stay vigilant. We stay centered. We don't fall to the right or the left. We try not to fall to the right or the left. We keep our eyes on Christ. Yeah. And that takes constant reorientation, right? Because it might seem to many of us now that Christ has come to the right a little bit, that the people on the right are more in line with, but that's not the case, because Christ is always in the center, in the narrow way. The world's compass may have shifted so that the center seems to be more now on the right, and so, but Christ is always in the center, so we have to somehow reorient constantly to stay there and not hate either side, because there will be a time when it shifts to the other way, right? So if you're married to your political party, especially to the people in that party, then you're gonna miss the mark, right? So, well, that's all I got for today, guys. If you are if you want to hear more stuff like this, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about this topic. If you are interested in coaching, reach out to me. Send me leave it in the comments. My website's still under construction, but I'm working on some cool things and some offers right now. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace, love, blessings. Take care.